Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you some records that are really worth having. And sometimes when we're looking through those record bins, we see the same old artists and we kind of just go on to autopilot and pass up some records that I think you'd be surprised are worth a lot of money. And I'm going to show you some examples of what to look for. And I want to hear your stories of records you've uncovered just by paying attention to each and every record in the bin. I want to share those stories. I want to talk a little bit about Ace Frehley at the end. And I also want to give you a little heads up. I'm really excited. You know, you all know, those of you who have followed my channel, that I am on the hunt to find the perfect amp for me. And I've been able to experience and do reviews for a lot of different amplifiers. And I wrote a review recently and talked about my experience with my very first tube amp, the Prima Luna EVO 200 tube amp. And Jeff Dorgay from Tone Audio Magazine gave me that opportunity at Tone Tube Publications. I wrote and just shared my experience. I'm not a seasoned audiophile, as you would say, but I got to write a review and it was so fun and it was just an amazing opportunity. I want to say thank you again to Jeff Dorgay, a true professional, a really cool guy. And Tone Audio Magazine is awesome. If you ever want to do some research on stereo equipment, by all means, that's a great resource. I will leave a link in the description of this video to my review. It's one from the heart, you guys. I want to hear what you think. I'm really proud of it. I think it turned out really well. So now let's go ahead and talk about these records. You know, we go to record stores, we're looking for certain records in our mind that we want to find. And of course, there are a couple or a few really popular records we always double check. Think of the Beatles, Yesterday and Today. We're always looking at that little area for that black V. That's Ringo's black turtleneck under his smock for the second State Butcher cover. I've shared the story in multiple videos. You can look it up if you're not familiar. But we all double check every time we see one of these records, right? Same with the Robert Ludwig hot mix of Led Zeppelin II. It's not a mix, I understand. It was his mastering, the first pressing made of Led Zeppelin II that came out really hot. We all look at the dead wax for RLSS. Those are two records. And you know, it's funny. I found a copy, paid $100 for it because the owner of the record store knew what it was, and she sold it to me for $100. And then I went to an antique store just a few weeks later, and because I knew what to look for, paid only $10 for another copy of the same record. So those are the ones we always look for. But there's more, you guys, there's more. There's $100 records out there that we're probably passing by every day. This one, take for instance, Black Sabbath Master of Reality. And this is a very Warner Brothers beat up copy, nothing special. The record is it's very loved and used. The album cover is too. But here's what you need to know. Every time you see one of these, every single time, look in the jacket for this. It is the vintage poster that came in that album. They are so hard to find. And if you can find a copy of this with the poster in it, it's going to bring the value of this record up by about $100. I'm not kidding you. This poster is hard to find. I love it. It smells so vintage. It's so cool. I don't know why. I had to have this poster. I have yet to hang it on my wall or frame it. I'm just, for now, keeping it in that record. But we see that record all the time. Check for the poster because it automatically increases the value, and it's just a cool poster to have, you know? If you can find that and not have to pay up for it, do it. and then you can frame that poster and have it in your room. It's a cool vintage poster, and it's so rare. This is another one, and you guys, I bought this in 2019. It was a 2017 release of a record that came out in 2001 by an artist we see all the time when we're digging through the bins, Elton John. You know, we dig through, we see all of these beat up old Elton John records. We have most of them, so we don't really spend a lot of time looking at Elton John. And yet, Songs from the West Coast, this 2017 release, and I don't remember exactly what I paid for it, but I do know it was either $9 or $12 back in 2019. It was stupid cheap on Amazon, so I bought it. I love the song, what's it called? I'm blanking out here. I Want Love. You know, I love that song, and I vividly remember back in 2001 seeing Robert Downey Jr. lip syncing, just walking room from room in the video for that song. So cool. And this is honestly a great record from Elton John. I paid $9 to $12 for it on Amazon back in 2019, and it sells for $100 to $150 today. I know that's really shocking. When you are in the Elton John section, keep your eyes open, because record store owners are only human, and they see Elton John. I mean, how many times do they see Elton John records and their eyes kind of glaze over like ours do? They might pass that up. And that brings up another point, you guys. If you see a record that's really underpriced in the record bins, do you tell the record store owner, or do you buy it if you need it? You know, I'd like to know what you think is the moral right choice in that. I have paid more than enough to say, I just buy it. You know, if it's a little underpriced, good for me, because I can't tell you how many times I've paid $5 to $10 more than I should have. And in the end, it all kind of balances out. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Here's another one. We see Julian Lennon, Velotte, and that second record of his, and our eyes just kind of glaze over and we just keep going, right? I mean, it's not to say that this isn't a good record, and Julian Lennon is a great artist. His vocals eerily and beautifully remind us of John. Some of us are just true lovers of Julian Lennon as an artist. Some of us love him because we feel like we love John and that's what John would want. I know you can beat me up for saying that, but I think there are some people out there that represents. I truly loved the song Velotte when it came out, by the way. But I see these Julian Lennon records in the bins all the time. And I just kind of start glazing over, moving to the next artist. Don't do that, because there are some other records by Julian Lennon. This is Everything Changes. It came out in 2012, and you might see this one in the bins, and it doesn't scream $100, but it is. It's a $100 record now. Now, I don't think it's better than Velotte. I don't think it's worse than Velotte. It's a good record if you're into Julian Lennon. And I can't imagine paying $100 for it. So hopefully you might find that in the bins if you don't just go into autopilot when you hit that section of, when it comes to Lennon. You're looking for John, you're looking for hidden gems of John, and you quickly pass up the Julian Lennon stuff. Check out Everything Changes. Look for that one. This one is easy to glaze over because you're just like, oh, you've seen it a million times. And the Beatles, I mean, it's so hard to keep track of all of the Beatles records. They've been repressed over and over again. And that can be to your advantage because record store owners have that same Beatles fatigue. You see this album cover and you're like, okay, you've seen it a million times. But when you see this, always look on the inside because it could be something you're not expecting. Like this 1978 yellow vinyl copy from Great Britain. Now, I know a lot of us are looking for, when it comes to Magical Mystery Tour, the Horzu German pressing that sounds amazing. This one sounds pretty darn good too, and it's a $100 record. And you never know. You see that album cover, look and see what the color of the vinyl is. If it's yellow, do some further investigation. You might be surprised. And it's a good record. Now, this next artist is one that he's just amazing. You guys, he's still going strong. He's in his 90s. Willie Nelson. I love this. Always on my mind. One of my favorite Willie Nelson songs. I've been a huge fan for a long time. And of course, we see all of his records. And we kind of flip through them because none of them usually are expensive. And we probably have the ball, right? If you're a Willie Nelson fan, they're easy to find, then they're cheap. Except for this one. Keep an eye on this. Shotgun Willie isn't always cheap either. That one is a little trickier to find, and it's a great record. But this one, Good Times by Willie Nelson. I've showed this on my channel before because a viewer sent it to me. There is a viewer that every once in a while, every couple of years or so, he will send some records to me. He finds the most amazing records at garage sales, and he found Good Times by Willie Nelson. This is a $100 to $150 record. It sure doesn't look like it. When you look at it, it would be so easy just to flip through. It doesn't scream, I'm expensive. It looks like a common record. And it is. It's a good, nice acoustic record by Willie Nelson. It's just him, an acoustic guitar. Sweet Memories is a real highlight for me, and I do love that record. But it's one of those that's just a unicorn in the Willie Nelson collection. And when you see Willie Nelson records, at least for me, there's so many of them in the bins that I tend to just go on autopilot and flip through. Don't let Good Times slip through your fingers because it's a good record. And if you want to have it and you can see it for a cheap price, you don't want to buy it on Discogs. Let's put it that way. Okay. You don't want to buy it on Discogs. You want to find it in the bins for $10. These are records also to keep your eye on. The Who Sell Out. There's always so many copies of this record in the bins because it was so popular. It took me a while to kind of get used to the narration and the concept of this album, but it's actually pretty good. But you have to watch the small print. This looks like just a regular common reissue of this record. And a record store in California made that mistake. They just priced it under $20, put it in the bins because it looks like a reissue of Sellout. And I looked at it and I looked closely. And in the small print, and I don't even, real small print here at the bottom, I saw it was from the Classic Records Company. It is a music label that is now out of business that did audiophile records, and they are really famous, and their records are very expensive. So this is a $100 record, $75 to $100. It's even the label is deceiving. It's showing it's the track label. So you would not know that this is from the Classic Records Company. You have to look in the small print. But I was able to find that record for so cheap in California simply because it's so hard to spot a Classic Records label or Classic Records Music Company record. Same with Casino Royale. I've shared this before. This is a record that I saw in a bin. No, it was in a record case at a store, and I asked the person working there why a reissue was worth $50. And I said, no disrespect, but why would it cost so much money? I understand if an original in perfect shape would be that expensive. And the guy looked and he looked at it. He tried to figure it out. He's like, I don't know. He said, I think it's a mistake. I'll sell it to you for $20. I even thought that was high, but I bought it only to come home and do a lot of investigation and realize it was from that Classic Record series. And this thing sounds like a dream. It's so incredible. So always keep your eye open for just the commonest of records, because the Who Sell Out and Casino Royale are records you would see all the time. Sometimes I don't even look through soundtracks. like Casino Royale. And yet it's a very valuable and special record. Classic Records hid their brand very well. This is a record that when you look at it, I mean, you know, you see this hype sticker and you know exactly what it is, and you know it's an expensive record. It's a 2014 mono reissue from the analog tapes of Sgt. Pepper. And they did repress the mono box set last summer, and a lot of people got to buy that, but they have yet to sell them separately. So this is still selling for $100, $120 to $150. And the dead giveaway, of course, is this label. You see it, you know. But what record stores are missing is sometimes some people don't really want that shrink wrap on their records and they remove it. And then you don't see this anymore and you don't have that barcode. I paid $20 for one of these records because of that. I saw it, saw the cover, and I looked and did a little further research looking in the dead wax and realized that it was the 2014 mono release of Sgt. Pepper. And I bought it, you know, I mean, why not? It's crazy that a record store missed it, but I understand why. How many Sgt. Peppers have been repressed? They would lose their minds trying to keep up with every single one that's been repressed. And their loss was my gain. I get a lot of grief, at least I've been told. Some people have said that people complain that I receive a lot of records from viewers and maybe even from some music labels. I get why some people don't like seeing me get these records, but what they don't realize is sometimes I'm getting records back because I sent records out. I give records away to my viewers, to other people who make vinyl videos. I've given some pretty nice records away. I'm only telling you that because I think I get a little unfair criticism about receiving expensive records from viewers. What you're not being told is I also send a lot of them out, and I don't have the record that I bought, the Sgt. Pepper mono that doesn't have that iconic label on it. I gave it to a viewer. And so I just wanted to mention that. Not that I want to brag that I give out records, but I wanted you to understand that sometimes when I'm getting records, it's because I've sent some out. I don't send any out with an obligation for anybody to send anything back. In fact, I don't really want them to. I want them to just enjoy what I sent. But some people do send records. It's kind of a back and forth. You send something out, something comes back to you. Here is the final one I want to show, and then I'm going to give a tribute to Ace Frehley, and I hope you will stick around for that. It's very easy when you get into the Kinks and you're looking and you see the Kinks Live, the Kinks Greatest Hits. A lot of the Kinks records, they're all beat up looking and really, you kind of glaze over, right? Keep an eye out for this one. It is, the Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. And if you can find an original in clean shape, it's a $75 to $100 record, believe it or not. You know, the Kinks records, you see them everywhere. There's a lot of them. But this one is particularly special, and it's a great sounding record. I really enjoy the music of this one. So don't buy something just because it's expensive. If you're like me, I'm not a flipper. I don't sell records. But sometimes it's a record you might want and you luck into it at a $20 price. When if you go on Discogs, it's $100. Just by taking off that autopilot and really paying attention to everything you're looking at, you can find some really cool bargains. Having said all that, I want to now pay tribute to my second favorite guitarist of all time, and I cannot believe he's gone. I put my lights here in the background of my shelves on blue in honor of the very beloved Ace Frehley. Michael Brandvold of Three Sides of the Coin said it best. We don't expect to lose our superheroes. We expect our superheroes to live forever. And Ace was one of those superheroes for all of us who grew up in the 70s. And I can just remember, you know, back in that time, things were a lot simpler. We had the images of the posters that came out of these records. We had the magazines we would buy. And I remember hearing Kiss music and looking at those images and hearing Ace's solos and all of that wonderful guitar work that he provided. I love, I mean, one of the ones that really stands out for me was the short little guitar solo in I Was Made for Loving You. I can hear every single note of that as I talk here. And he did such a brilliant job on 2000 Man, a Rolling Stones song that I think he honored and did a perfect job on. I loved Cold Gin and all of his, I mean, he was the fun. You know, you think of Gene, he was the demon, and Paul, he was the romantic. This guy was a lot of fun. And I recently had to show my husband, because he'd never seen it, the Tom Snyder interview with Ace. My husband was cracking up. He said that guy was a lot of fun. You know, he sees Gene being a little bit of a, I don't know, stick in the mud. I understand why. I mean, I understand the whole story behind Kiss. Ace was special. His makeup mesmerized me. We were in a time when we didn't know their identities. We just knew these images. They could go around in public and none of us would have known who they were. That's how it was back then. And to a young girl, come from a little poor county, listening to this and seeing those images, it was just such a special thing. So Ace was a huge loss, and I'm extremely sad about it. I didn't get to make a video last week and talk about him because I was at Disney World having a great time with my family. I also have to give a shout out. When I see this image, you guys, and this is just a testament to vinyl records. These album covers, when we see them, they bring back a million memories. So this one also happened to be the avatar of LJ. Biosite 1 was his channel. He made videos long before I did. He died way too soon. He had a beautiful family and everything to live for. So I don't know how he passed away or the circumstances, but I was watching his videos and learning from him way before I ever started making videos. And so he means a lot to me. And when I see this, I think of LJ. And I also have to share another story of this image of Ace Frehley. When I first started making vinyl videos, the first few years, I got a chance to get to know, and just through discussions of music, another guy who had the Ace Frehley solo album, which was an amazing and the best solo album of all the Kiss records. That was his avatar as well as LJ's. He used to talk to me and he shared with me he had cancer. He was fighting it. He was hopefully winning. And we just talked for a long time and shared music ideas and stories. And I had a great relationship with him in the comments of my videos. And then one day, just out of the blue, he sent me the final message saying, I want to say thank you and goodbye. My cancer is not survivable. I only have a few weeks left and I'm going to be spending it with my family. But I wanted to tell you goodbye. And that was the last comment I ever got from him. And so I never got to see his face, but this image is what I used to see when I would hear from him. And that's a very important image. And then, sure enough, his brother, who also has an avatar of Gene Simmons, let me know he had passed away. So Ace Frehley and his image has always been something very special. And I think we can all relate when we pull out vinyl records. The images of the album covers bring back different stories. They tell something very special about each and every one of us. And I'm really sad that Ace, LJ, And my other friend from the vinyl community that I used to talk to are gone. It's just sad. Anyway, I hate to end on this sad note. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you found a record while digging that was worth more money than you would have ever dreamed? Have you ever, share your thoughts on Ace passing and how you feel about it. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, hit the like button and the notification bell. Most importantly, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.